Scott Menzel, Hollywood Critics Association. Keri, good seeing you again.
Nice to see you.
So I think we have to go back to the beginning. The reality of getting this script in your inbox. The first reaction when you got done, I have to know, like, what was the reaction from you?
Well, probably the same as your reaction, which is that it was so crazy. But you know what? So Liz and I were on the phone. We were talking about a whole other project together. And I think it was like the next day, she called me and said, do you want to read this thing that I'm directing, this crazy thing? And I was like, yeah, sure. And it was just so out there. This was also like the height of COVID. So everything, the whole world was so intense. Everyone's lives were so intense. And to read something like this that was such a departure and so wacky felt like such a relief, you know? And I think it was just crazy enough that I don't think I've done something like super serious since COVID, you know, or something kind of too sentimental, or I think there is this need to laugh and like escape, and this was just a total romp. And then Margot Martindale texted me and said, are you gonna do this movie? And I was like, are you gonna do this movie? What? Then I was like, I'm definitely doing this movie if you're gonna do it. And we all did it because Liz had this crazy vision. And, you know, the tone of this is hard to kind of pin down. And I think that was the real gamble. I kept going like, well, what do you, how? But as soon as she cast Margot, I was like, oh, okay. Like, I know what direction at least you're headed in. And she wasn't afraid of like the really scary, gory, like she wanted it super gory. I think it plays. I think it's wacky and ridiculous and a total romp. And me and a few moms are bringing our teenagers to go see it the weekend it comes out.
Yeah, I think it's going to play really well with audiences. I think people are really going to be in for a wild ride. And I think if you can buy into the ridiculousness of it, you're totally like sold on it, because
Right.
it's so like out there.
It's
It's
so
just,
out
is,
there.
is it going to be too out there? That's the question that we still have.
Yeah. I think it's just a total wild romp. Like you have to like go in only wanting the craziness. Not like a moral of a story or anything. You know, she went in for the gore and the ridiculousness, and it keeps coming.
Yes. I have to follow this up by asking you, do you even have to audition for something like this? Or is this something where they just like, yes, you're going to do it. And they're like, okay, we know you're going to nail it.
This one I did not have to audition for. But so,
Okay.
so I'm sure that's a gamble for them, you know what I mean? But although my part's pretty straight, like, you know, I don't have to do anything pretty, you know.
No, you pray that, I mean, there's no way of saying this, the straight man character. I mean, that's
I
pretty
am,
much what
yeah.
that's what
Yeah,
you are.
I'm the watcher of it.
It's interesting to kind of see you kind of in this role because, like you said, I mean, Felicity, last time we talked about my love of Austin Land. So like it's amazing kind of seeing you go from those kind of roles to doing Antlers and now this.
Right.
So I'm very interested how you act alongside something that's not there.
You just have to go for it because you can't half-ass it. Like you got to go for it. But you know, we also had the Weta guys who,
Yes.
you know, do all that amazing stuff. So Alan is like one of those trained amazing guys, like, you know, on stilts doing very realistic bear movements. He's doing the necks. He's doing, you know, like the walking. And they did have a simulated, like, actual size bear head that they'd bring in occasionally and be like, this is how big it is. This is what it looks like. And you're like, oh, that is big. And then, but truthfully, the best was Margot and Jesse and I in the woods on our close-ups. Banks would just be on a microphone and just like blow by blow. Okay, he's in the tree. The bear's ripping his leg off, and now there's blood squirting everywhere. And now he's screaming for his life, and now he's falling off, and half his body falls off, and there's blood. I mean, that's literally what our close-ups were too, and that was highly enjoyable.
Wow. So you
making fun of each other doing their close-ups.
So you really had a lot of visuals to go with in terms of like Liz kind of screaming in your ear, like, this is what's happening right now. This is how you react.
Kind of. It was basically like acting with Liz through the whole movie. In fact, at one point, the little boy, because a lot of my scenes were with the kid, at one point he got COVID, because this was during COVID. So he was out for like 10 days. So I did all these sections of the movie with me looking at this kid I'd never seen before, like a stand-in kid, little Irish kid, because we were in Ireland, who couldn't say anything because he had an Irish accent, and he would just look at me blankly. I would say my line, he would look at me blankly, and Liz from off to the side would like say the lines into a microphone, and I'd be like, so it was me acting with Liz basically for the whole movie. Liz was the angry bear, Liz was the little kid. Yeah.
How was Brooklyn? How was acting alongside her?
Great. I mean, those little kids, I'm glad they had each other, because kids in movies is so creepy, for them. Yes. So creepy. But they at least like they were just like having the time of their lives, like going swimming, being little kids, which that is always a good thing. But Brooklyn's great. She's just like goes for it. When she's in it, she's in it.
Yeah, I mean, I could not believe the movie went as far. I mean, I know this is a little bit of a spoiler, but like when they actually break open the cocaine in the beginning of the movie. And like, I'm also like, why do none of the humans have effects of the cocaine either? Like throughout the entire movie? Like, I'm like, these kids are like literally shoving piles of cocaine in their mouth and they're still functioning.
It's so crazy. Like the idea of this movie is so crazy. Can you believe it got made? But it's so funny. It's such a funny, stupid idea. But I know, I hear you about that. We'll probably have some write-ins about that, about needing a little bit more realistic cocaine acting.
Yeah, no, I couldn't get over the kids scene. Like that was the one where I was just like, okay, the rest of it.
They're not going to do it. Oh, they're doing it. They're really doing it.
And then I was like expecting like some kind of wild, trippy scene of them going in the woods, and I'm like, wait a second, they're okay. Like, what's going on?
I know, they should have just like kind of fast forwarded something.
Yes.
While talking at each other about their hopes and dreams really loudly. It's
fascinating to kind of hear how much you really worked alongside Elizabeth, even if it was unintentional in certain spots. What makes her such a great director? I mean, I love Charlie's Angels. I feel like that movie did not get nearly the much respect that it deserved.
Liz has this like she has this like really steady confidence. She's just like kind of an unflappable person. And she's been doing it for so long. She's such a pro. Like even back from like Wet Hot American Summer, that's what I remember her from. That like slutty girl in the bikini making out like sloppily with Paul Rudd. I loved her in that movie. To like Seabiscuit, her like fancy and period clothes with the red lipstick. Like she's been around, she knows how to do it. She's totally capable. She's really capable at being in charge. And that's what I mean about like unflappable. As a director, you just have people like raining on your parade at every moment. Like literally, because we were shooting in Ireland, it would rain all the time, so it wouldn't match the shot, and then we'd have to like change things up. She's not yelling at anybody. She's like, okay, this is what we're gonna do now. She has her vision. She was always super prepared. We never went over. She's just like, she's at ease as the person in control, and she deserves it. And I hope it does really well for her. The other thing is she's fucking funny. She's funny, she's smart. She's just a pro.
I mean, I hope it does well for her as well, because I just really want something that she does outside of Pitch Perfect to really kind of like take off.
And this is her vibe. Like this is her thing, like it's huge action sequences. It's really involved, like all the stuff with Weta and the special effects. That's such heavy storyboarding and planning and preparation, and she did all that. So I hope it does well for her too.
Yeah. Is there any scene that you filmed that didn't make it into the final cut of the movie? Or was it always this tight?
No, a ton. There's a ton. Because also, she loves all the funny stuff, so we shot a gazillion scenes, everyone did, where everyone's riffing on things and there's little comedy bits all over. And I think she just tightened it up, like with what worked best with the story, which I think is good. It should feel tight, you know. You want the bear on cocaine attacking people. That's
right. That's right. Yeah, yeah. I mean, the 95-minute runtime was perfect for it, but I was just like wondering if there was like how much of this, like, is there something like really batshit crazy that happened that got cut?
No, like the big stuff is in it. Like the epic, like the big punchy stuff is all there. If anything, it was just more like funny, you know, like comedy stuff. That little things that got cut. So it was nothing that had to be there. I just wish there was more Margot Martindale as Ranger Liz. I mean, that to me is like the movie.
Yeah, no, I agree. I wanted more of her, but she does get a really awesome death sequence.
I mean, come on, the pavement, the face.
Yeah.
We screamed. I watched it with Jesse and Margot in a screening together, and we screamed. We were like, "Wah!" So gross and so stupid, but
because she's so iconic too, to kind of see her go out that way,
just like,
you know?
Take her out.
I mean, another like, it's really sad. Like the one sad thing about this movie is that Ray Liotta, of course. Yeah. And I mean, I always view you like it's interesting because you were always talking about like playing the straight character and everything like that. So Ray Liotta, I mean. I can only imagine, like, when he got pitched, he was like, what the fuck is this that I got here?
I'm sure he was like, what the fuck is this?
Like, Cocaine Bear? Like, this sounds like Goodfellas and everything else I've done. I mean, what was it like acting alongside him in something so ridiculous?
Amazing! But we were all in it together. Do you know what I mean? And he's just going for it. Like, he's doing exactly what Ray does in Goodfellas. Do you know what I mean? It's just him going for it. In a crazy 1980s wig and like gold chains, which is not too far from the other things. But he was just sensitive and cool, and we were all just like, but he knew, I think he had met Liz from before, and I think that's how she got him to do it.
Okay, yeah. I mean, it was like, I literally, like when I was watching it, I was kind of like, wow, this is really against type for him. And I was like, wow, what a way to go out. Like, wow, right? This is really
Cocaine Bear.
It's like you literally watch Blackbird and you're kind of like, okay, Blackbird, this is such a Ray Liotta performance. And then you're like this and you're kind of like, well, this is something that I've never seen him do before.
It's good to show your range. It's good to show your range.
You've done a lot of both movies and television. Is there, and I know it's kind of like the industry has changed and everything kind of almost seems the same nowadays. Yeah. Do you have like a pick between the two? Is there one that you like more than the other, and why?
I know it's probably ending, and but I did like, that era. Like when the Americans, maybe it ran a little longer than some of the ones that are running now, but I really love that shorter, cable version of those shows, because you could really like invest in the story and build it, and now I know we have a gazillion of them, so it's probably all coming to an end. But I don't know. I really like, because you can really delve into it, but you're not so burdened by having 22 episodes like we all used to have to do. So you can really make it count. I really like that, and I'm sort of a nervous person, so the idea of, our job, every new job you go on, everyone's new, like hair and makeup's new, costumes, so everyone's like in your space. So for me, that's always a learning curve at the first, 2 months or something. So doing a limited series or something like that, your people, you get to used to like the people who are in your space and who you're working with, and you don't have to learn them new each year. You know what I mean? So that's what I kind of like to do. But I think we're reaching maybe the end, because we've reached saturation point maybe. But
I think so too. But I mean, it is what it is. But
it is what it is.
Well, Keri, lovely again talking to you. You are such a fun person to talk to. So I appreciate you, and I can't wait to see what you do next. And I'm sure we'll be back here one more time.
Yeah. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you too. Take care.